Former NFL quarterback and analyst Matt Hasslebeck joins Blue Rush to talk about all of this quarterback hype that's coming out of Giants camp. And of course, I got to get his thoughts on how good this Giants defensive line could actually be this season. Matt, what's up, my man? Thanks for hopping on
Hey,
with us.
been a long time. Been a
Yeah,
long time. I
Matt.
mean, I remember you. I remember you and your brother running around the locker room when your dad was the coach at Boston College. You were trying to try on everybody's gear, the shoes, the gloves, and then I get to watch you play later on. So full circle moment here.
Yeah, we would try it on, and then the players would go to the equipment staff and be like, "Where are my shoes and gloves at?" And then here I am, this 14-year-old kid rocking some size 14 cleats, but I was fresh out there though. Great seeing you, man. You're absolutely killing it. But I got to start because we got to talk quarterbacks today here in New York. It's a hot topic. I'll start by talking about Russell Wilson since he's been named QB1. I know it's only preseason, but when you go into the Giants building, all the players, the coaches, and the fan base, they all say there's something different in the air. There's like a different energy. Are you surprised that Russ has been able to come into a 3-13 team and raise the expectations this fast?
No, not at all. I mean, everyone that knows him in Seattle knows that he's uncommon. Like he comes in, he's positive talk, he's Pete Carroll. There's never been a bad day. Everything's, great energy. Everything's very positive. And I feel like also what the Giants have done is they've kind of, to steal a quote from my old coach Ray Rhodes, they're killing a mosquito with a sledgehammer at the quarterback position. They bring in Russell Wilson, they bring in Jameis Winston, then they go and get Jackson Dart. They already have Tommy DeVito. So like they're probably overdoing it just a little bit there. And, I think the thing I would just caution people with is that I'm not sure that that's the best way to kill a mosquito with a sledgehammer. Like you can sort of
Yeah.
overdo it. And so I think that's the challenge. But what you've seen early is a lot of great teamwork, chemistry, unselfishness. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart coming in even as like a kind of a humble guy. So if you're wondering where I stand on the whole thing, I am 100% in favor of starting Russell Wilson, letting him be a pro's pro, letting him lead, letting everyone else in the building understand like this is what a franchise quarterback. This is like the expectation. This is how you work. This is how you prepare. This is your process. This is how you talk to the media. This is how you talk in front of the team. This is your body language. And will he last the entire season with Jackson Dart playing so well? I don't know because he didn't play that great in Pittsburgh at times last year. He certainly didn't play very well in Denver. Is he a good quarterback? Definitely. Does he have a lot of opportunity for great football? Sure. But Jackson Dart's playing so well, and we also know how the fans can be and how the expectations for young quarterbacks to play. So Russell's going to have to play great to keep the job, I think.
So we talk about the expectations being there. Jackson Dart playing so well. He's already got the media calling for him to be QB1 week one. You already got the fan base that's kind of, some are torn. Some love what Russ is doing early, but they also get excited about the future of Jackson Dart being the franchise quarterback here. So how long is Rush's leash as a starter?
Yeah, I think you got to commit to it and really give Russell every opportunity to be the starter the entire season. Like I understand the media because like they're just looking for, energy and excitement and clicks and all that kind of stuff. It's the reason that we're talking about the fourth string quarterback, who that's going to be in Cleveland. Like it's just it's weird. But that's what we do. That's what we do. But I think the best organizations are the ones that stick to the plan, stick to the process. And, I just think like, my own personal experience, I backed up Brett Favre for 3 years before I became a starter. I really believe in that. You hear Tom Brady talk about the opportunity to sit behind Drew Bledsoe. You hear Aaron Rodgers talk about the opportunity to sit behind Brett Favre. Patrick Mahomes sat for an entire season behind Alex Smith. Even like when I was coming up, Donovan McNabb sat on the bench while Doug Peterson was the punching bag quarterback for Andy Reid. You almost got to prepare the team to get good enough for the franchise quarterback to come in. I mean, the year before Russell Wilson became the quarterback in Seattle, They were building the offensive line. They were building the Legion of Boom. Tavares Jackson was the starting quarterback. Russ comes in. It was his first year, but the team was more ready to accept him. I think that's probably the question that the Giants are going to have to ask. Like, how close are we to being the team that's ready to support a young, up and coming quarterback? Because if your team's not really ready, roll with Russell Wilson and his leadership that's going to like permeate throughout the building, throughout the locker room.
You keep hearing Dable, offense coordinator Mike Kafka, and these guys talking about they love where Jackson Dart is right now with his development and his progression. They've only played 2 preseason games. The fact that this kid is catching on and really showing how good he is and how he could be at this early in his NFL career. I know he hasn't played in an actual real game yet, but is that more on the player? Or is that more on, or should the coaching staff, should they get their flowers about getting him ready this fast, this early?
I think it's environment. I kind of threw a little shade at the, mosquito with the sledgehammer with the veteran quarterback thing, but it is so incredibly valuable for a young quarterback to come into a quarterback room with guys that have been there and done it, experienced the highest highs and even some of the lowest lows. I mean, to have Jameis and Russell in that room, even Tommy DeVito, like the hunger and the fight and like hey, I'm making it in this league. I'm going to find a way. Like my rookie year when I came into the Green Bay Packers, I was drafted to the Packers. Andy Reid's the quarterback coach. Mike Holmgren's the head coach. But the quarterback room was Brett Favre coming off of 2 consecutive Super Bowls and 3 NFL MVPs. The backups were Doug Peterson, Rick Meyer. I mean, it was great. It was fertile soil for a young quarterback to kind of develop and to develop quickly. Like you saw it all around you. Like, this isn't counterfeit. Like I'm learning from your scars. Like you're trying to be the best in the world at what you do. And like, that is an amazing environment for a young quarterback to come into. That's, I believe, the environment that Jackson Dart is stepping into. A lot of other young quarterbacks are not stepping into an environment like that. So I think everybody gets a credit. I think the front office gets some credit, but at the end of the day, the young quarterback either has to have the it factor or not. And what I've seen so far on film, I just absolutely love it. Like, I just love it. There's no extra hitches. You can tell this guy was well trained in college. I just would caution everybody, don't throw him out there to the Wolves too soon before he's ready or before the team's ready.
Yeah, I mean, the kid is as advertised. Kid's been making throws since he stepped in day one, and it's kind of ironic. His first throw in team periods in the spring was a pick six, and everyone kind of was like, you could see the tweets. Everyone was down on the dumps on him, like, oh, here we go again. But now, fast forward to today, you got people on Get Up talking about this kid should be the quarterback, QB1, first game of the season. So when you kind
do
of
it for clicks, do it for the clicks,
do it for the grand and do it for the clicks. Go ahead.
Can I just say something about the pick six though? Like, interceptions, especially in practice, like they're not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because there's a moment for every quarterback where you learn from that interception. Like there's a moment where the next time you're in that exact same situation, that exact same throw, there's like a split-second decision where you're about to let it go. And then you're like, I got a bad feeling about this. Like, I don't, I kind of remember it. And you either sail it high and it's incomplete, 2nd and 10, like whatever, or like you don't pull the trigger and you learn from that mistake. And I would just say, like, I watched Brett Favre, I got there after he had already kind of gone through his like early struggles in his career. I watched Brett Favre throw so many almost interceptions, but he had learned from the interceptions before. And I just thought, like, there's a lesson in every interception that a quarterback throws, and you would much rather do it in practice than in a game. So I got no problem with mistakes for a young quarterback. My problem is with repeat mistakes. Okay. And if a guy is doing repeat mistakes, he's an error repeater, then he's not your guy. But if a guy's making mistake, that just means he's human. He's a young quarterback, and I'm all good with that.
When you talk about the quarterback room that you came into when you were drafted by the Green Bay Packers, it's almost like it's kind of comparable to what the Giants quarterback room is going through now. You're the young rookie that was drafted. I know Jackson was in the 1st round. You're in the 6th round. And then obviously the Russell Wilson is kind of the Brett Favre. But then Jameis is kind of like the Doug Peterson, Rick Meyer that you were kind of talking about in terms of that quarterback. So if you're Jameis, and you're looking good in camp as well and in the preseason games, how do you feel about all of this going down around you right now, especially when GM Brandon Brown kind of shut down all that potential trade talk? Like, are you Like what's going through Jameis's head about his future with the team, both now in the present and maybe next year, because he's on the hook for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, first off, there's only one Jameis.
Only
It's
one
hard to
Jameis.
compare anybody. No, but listen, I've been there. I think I was there near the end of my career. I went to Indianapolis to make a run at a Super Bowl. I backed up Andrew Luck the last 3 years of my NFL career. Um, Ended up starting like 8 or 9 games as a 40-year-old because he got so banged up. But at a certain point in your NFL career, you feel like your role and your mission in life is almost bigger than football. And I think that's where Jameis is. Like, I think Jameis is trying to have an impact on people and trying to be like the best teammate he's ever been. And maybe because when he came in as the first pick overall with all the hype and all the fanfare, like maybe he wasn't at first the best teammate in the world. And maybe he like that's where he's getting his opportunity to kind of shine. And I think the way that you do that is in excellence in everything that you do. Excellence in every throwing competition, every lift, every run, every meeting, every dissect the defense. All right, we're going up against these guys this week. Like, oh man, I played these guys through 4 interceptions against these guys one year, and the next year I came back through 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But like, let me tell you what I learned from these guys. And I think that there's some awesome energy about guys like that. Some of the best teammates that I've ever had energy like that, had like a mission greater than football. A lot of people talk about my years in Green Bay, my first few years in Green Bay. I come in and like, oh, what was it like having Brett Favre and Doug Peterson, these guys as mentors? It wasn't just them. It was guys like Reggie White. It was guys like Leroy Butler. There were a lot of guys in that locker room that were impacting all their guys at other positions. And so I think Jameis, he's just good for the team. He's good for the team in a lot of ways. And I don't think he's just sitting there quietly like, oh, okay, I'm just going to be like the third guy or the second guy this year. I think the way he's doing it is like, I just think about that crossbar challenge. If you haven't seen the
Yep.
video, you got to
Yep.
go see the
I
video
was
where,
there. I was there.
yeah, Dayball's like, all right, quarterbacks are going to compete. And I just think that's the biggest thing, to steal kind of a line from Pete Carroll when he was my head coach. Like, in everything we do, we compete. We used to get our per diem. The second we get our per diem, it was like guys are ripping the envelope open and we're like rock, paper, scissors for the other guy's per diem. It's like $24 or something like that. And you're rock, paper, scissoring like you're like it's the Rose Bowl or something. And that's just like that's the energy and the environment, the DNA of who your team can be. And I think just Jameis is one of those guys. And I think the Giants probably recognize it. They haven't had that kind of a competitive, fierce spirit in a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, Jameis has that infectious energy, and he's had so much success in the league. If you're a young guy and he's trying to correct you or trying to show you the way, you have no choice but to listen. You better hope you have a career as close to as what Jameis Winston has done.
And failures, though. Like, I really believe like
okay.
learning through other people's failures is a valuable thing. Like, Rick Meyer was in that quarterback room with me early in my years in Seattle. Jeff George replaced Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer was a teammate of mine, wins the Super Bowl, gets kind of kicked to the curb by his team and comes in and like, stole my job initially in Seattle. But like, I just learned so much from all the different injuries guys had, or like bad experiences with the fans or the media or a teammate or a coach. Like, learning through other people's struggles. I think it's great in football. It's probably great in life. But and I think that Jameis has something to offer there that not a lot of people can offer. And for a young quarterback, there's going to be dark days. It's going to happen. So the good and the bad with Jameis, I think, is valuable.
In one of your previous answers, you talked about how Reggie White was a leader. The Giants defensive line has some leaders and some dogs on that defensive line, but they always talk about how, all it is they're just on paper right now. We look good on paper. We haven't done anything. You've played quarterback in this league and you played it well. You studied and you looked at these defenses. One, how good can this Giants defensive line be? And two, what's it like in terms of a quarterback's preparation, having to prepare for, a top one, top two defensive tackle, and then you got those guys of a Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau coming off the edge?
Yeah, well, a good front four. I mean, Giants fans know this better than anybody. A good front four make everybody behind you better,
Yeah.
and make the quarterback and make Superman look like Clark Kent. It's just the facts, And my dad played for the Giants, and I remember when it was LT and Carl Banks on one side, pick
Mm.
your poison, and teams were in trouble. They had to leave a tight end in, they had to leave a running back in. Um, I experienced that when Reggie White and Santana Dotson and Gilbert Brown.
Mm.
And then when I was playing, it was Strahan, it was OCU Minora, it was Justin Tuck. And I'll just give an example of like playing the Giants back in the day. Mike Holmgren, we had an offense, and it was we had 3-step drops, 5-step drops, and 7-step drops. Most of my favorite plays were 7-step drops. Gives guys times to develop, play time to develop, guys to get open down the field. Mike Holmgren, when we would play the Giants, once they had Strahan and Umanura, he would walk by the offensive, staff room, and he'd say, "Hey, no 7-step drops this week." And he'd just keep walking. And it took our playbook
Mm.
from like 100% of the playbook down to like 70% of the playbook, like that. And then we realized, you know what? Michael Strahan on our right side and my quarterback's right side is so unblockable that we have to be in all protections where the running back is also going to the right side. And so now we just went from like 65, 70% of the playbook, and now we're down to like 39% of the playbook before we've even decided what we want to try to do. And like that is it's crippling. The way I explained it to my coach at the time, because I was complaining about it so much. I was like, I feel like I'm trying to eat a bowl of cereal left-handed. Like, I know it's not a big deal, I know I can still do it, but like it is so annoying, and it's like I don't know why it's slowing me down. It's slowing my processing down. It's slowing my favorite plays down. So when your D line can be that disruptive, it's a game changer. And I think, again, like I think Giants fans know it because of that Patriots Super Bowl where that front four, they took over the game.
Yep.
They took over the game, and that's a special thing, and that's why you pay so much money to the guys that can rush the passer.
And it's almost like Abdul Carter. There's that viral video of him getting put on his ass by that chip block by the tight end for the Jets in that preseason game. It's almost like you got to tell him, like, you got to expect that, but then you also don't expect it because they're not going to be able to keep tight ends and backs in to try and max protect each play to try and block this front four, this defensive line. So it's a lot of people are excited about what this edge rush can be. But like Brian
Yeah.
Burns says all the time, they got to earn the right to rush, meaning they got to stop the run this year. They got to do a better job in that
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
season.
Can I just say something about the chips though?
Yep.
Like, you just took one for the team. You just made the team better. The guys behind you, the 7-on-7 guys, there's a running back that is not out in a pass route right now for flare control, getting a wide receiver or tight end open because he's in there chipping on you. So like that's great for clicks and social media and blah, blah, blah. But like you just took one for the team. And as a quarterback, the thing you hate the most, is when your running backs, your checkdowns, your flare control, they're standing next to you or they're standing next to your left tackle or right tackle. That's no bueno, not good. Don't like it. So like that's okay. Like I would take the rib shot all day. And then one thing happens as a pass rusher, when you become a guy that's getting chipped all the time, you get used to it. Like we used to chip Bruce Smith when he was in Washington, and they just developed the thing. LeVar Arrington, the second that Bruce Smith would start to get chipped, he would just blitz. He wasn't even supposed to blitz, but he was like, my guy that's responsible for me in pass protection is over here helping on Bruce Smith. I'm just gonna fire my gun and
Green
blitz, and here we
dog.
go.
Yep.
And like there's no protection for that. So the chip is now off, and now Bruce Smith's really one-on-one, and a little bit in pass pro, you chase two rabbits, you catch either one, and that's what happens in the chip game if you have to live in it too much.
Last one, Matt. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Start, bench, cut. When we're talking about the rookie quarterbacks in this draft class, start, bench, cut. Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Go.
Wow. As someone who's been cut as a rookie and put on the practice squad, I mean, I love Cam Ward, love everything about him. Jackson Dart's really been impressive. I would put Shedeur on the cut, but I'm a huge Shedeur fan. Like, I mean, my dad played in Colorado. I was born in Boulder. Dion's a friend. I'm rooting for him. Like you mentioned, like me and Jackson Dart are in a similar situation as rookies. He's a first rounder. I was a sixth rounder, pick 187. So I've got a soft spot in my heart for a guy like Shador, who I think went in the 5th round. To me, that's getting drafted high because it's a 6th rounder. So for this year, for this season, I think Jackson Dart, I think Cam Ward, but I wouldn't count out Shador for having like a good career. But I don't think he'll play this year. I really don't.
All right, Matt, thanks for hopping on with us, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it's been fun.